I'm not special.
Wow. Yeah, that's a jarring way to start a conversation about healing, isn't it?
It really is. I
Yeah.
mean, think about the context where you usually hear that.
Right.
It sounds like something a bully yells at you on the playground. Or maybe it's that toxic inner critic voice at 3 in the morning telling you that you're average, that you're failing.
It's usually a statement of defeat or low self-esteem.
Precisely. But imagine standing in your backyard, it's pitch black. You are absolutely shattered by the kind of grief that makes your chest physically ache, and you're repeating that phrase to yourself, like a mantra.
I'm not special. I'm not special.
And here's the kicker. You aren't doing it to hurt yourself, you're doing it to survive.
And that is the paradox we are unpacking today. We're looking at Chapter 5 of Riding the Waves of Grief by Daniel Astoria. And I'll be honest, when I first saw that chapter title, I thought, okay, is this going to be some kind of guilt trip?
Like, don't feel bad because you're not
Uh,
important.
Exactly. But it's the complete opposite. This isn't about self-deprecation at all. It's about strategy.
Right. This is a deep dive into the cognitive mechanics of survival. We're not just going to talk about feeling sad. We're going to look at how your brain tries to process a world that is suddenly, blown apart.
And how finding your place in the massive timeline of human history might actually be the only way to keep breathing.
We have a lot to get through today. We need to talk about the zero-sum game of grief in a marriage, the controversial idea of comparative suffering.
Which usually gets a really bad rap in therapy circles.
It does. And this incredibly powerful metaphor of the two storms, it's a heavy one, but the shift in perspective at the end is genuinely one of the most empowering things I've read in a long time.
Okay, so let's go back to the garden. Daniel, the author, has just lost his wife, Natalie. He's in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And he goes outside to talk to God or the universe or just the night sky, and he says it. I'm not special. What is the utility in that? Why strip yourself of uniqueness when you're already at rock bottom?
Well, to understand the utility, you have to understand what our ego does when we're in pain. When tragedy strikes, our world just shrinks instantly.
It becomes all about my pain, my loss, my missing piece.
And the brain naturally drifts toward this feeling of personal persecution, that feeling of why me?
Exactly. Why me? Why her? Why now? It feels like a targeted strike, like the universe looked down, pointed a finger right at your house and said, I'm going to ruin this specific person's life.
And that mindset is so isolating. Because if your pain is this unique targeted curse,
But there's no roadmap for it. You're stranded on an island that isn't on any map. It makes you feel like the rules of recovery just don't apply to you.
right, if you're special in your suffering, you're alone. But Daniel, he flips the script. He looks at the math.
He forces himself to acknowledge that for thousands of years, billions of human beings have stood in this exact spot.
He actually has this internal monologue. It reads like a pep talk from a really pragmatic coach. He tells himself, Daniel, people have dealt with this throughout history. Most have recovered. You can get through this.
He's crowdsourcing his survival. By admitting he isn't special, he's acknowledging that grief is just a universal human tax.
Everyone pays it eventually.
Right. And if billions of people have paid it and kept walking, then the human operating system must have a feature for recovery built in.
It's almost like he's saying, I'm just a standard issue human, and standard issue humans are built to survive this.
It turns a terrifying, unique nightmare into a standard procedure. A brutal one, for sure, but a known one. It tells you that the path you're on, as dark as it is, actually leads somewhere.
But I think to really grasp why he needed this heavy-duty coping mechanism, we have to look at the guy he was before the grief hit.
Oh yeah, he was incredibly vulnerable about it. He admits his biggest fear, aside from heights, was losing the people he loved. This wasn't some stoic, I can handle anything kind of guy.
Not at all. He was deeply, explicitly dependent on Natalie. There's this confession he makes. He told her, point blank, I want to go first.
Which is a sentiment I think a lot of people can resonate with.
Oh, absolutely. It's framed as romantic in movies, right? I can't live without you. But in real life, late at night, that's actually a confession of terror.
It's saying, I don't know how to navigate the world without you as my map.
That's it. Natalie was his anchor. So the idea of the anchor just disappearing while the ship was still out at sea, that was his nightmare scenario.
He wanted to die first so he wouldn't have to face it.
And then the nightmare happens. They get the diagnosis, aggressive cancer. The doctor essentially hands them a timeline.
And I want to pause on his reaction in that doctor's office because it's so heartbreakingly human. He talks about the looks they exchanged.
Ugh, this part really got to me. He says, our glances spoke of getting through it together, Of victory.
The warrior mindset. We're going to beat this.
But looking back now, from the other side of grief, he sees that look with so much regret. He calls it a tragedy.
Because in that moment, they were posturing for a war that was, in reality, already lost. He writes that he wishes he could go back, stop the "we can do this" brave face, and just hold her.
Just freeze time. But you can't. You just march forward into what he calls the storm.
And this is the central metaphor of the chapter. But what's so fascinating is that he doesn't treat the illness and the death as one big blur. He separates them.
Into two distinct weather systems.
Right. The two storms. First, you have Natalie's storm.
That's the physical reality, the cancer, the pain, the treatments.
The body failing. That is a storm of, violence and biology. And Daniel is sitting there watching it happen.
He's getting wet, but he's not the lightning rod. Not yet.
But he knows what's coming. There's this exchange. Weeks before she dies, Daniel says to her, "I've got a storm coming."
In her reply. Oh, it's so quiet, but it's just devastating. She says, make it a short one.
That is such a loaded statement. She knows she can't stop his storm. She knows her death is the trigger, but she's giving him a directive.
I have to leave you, and it's going to wreck you, but don't let it drown you forever.
But Daniel's just struggling with this deep insecurity. He's watching her endure this incredible physical suffering with so much grace, and he feels weak.
He literally tells her, I just hope I'm half as strong in my storm as you've been in yours.
He's comparing his future emotional pain to her current physical pain, but then he realizes something really profound about the timing of it all.
He realizes she was holding the door shut on his storm.
She was. He writes, "She was enduring her storm so I wouldn't have to face mine." As long as she was breathing, even in agony, Daniel wasn't in his storm yet.
Wow. So she was staying alive, enduring pain, to buy him a few more days of safety.
Which creates such a complex mix of emotions. It's gratitude, of course, but it's also this massive weight of debt.
Yeah, if someone loves you that much, you feel this responsibility to make that sacrifice worth it.
Which leads us to the hospital room, the last day, the final transaction.
The deathbed permission. We see this in fiction a lot. You can let go now. But reading it here, it feels different. It feels like he's trying to pick a lock.
Because he realizes that for her storm to end, for her pain to stop, he has to be the one to release her. He has to convince her that her job as his protector is finished.
He has to make her believe he'll be okay.
And he uses a joke. Or a lie. I'm not really sure what to call it.
I know the line. He's crying, tears streaming down his face, and he says, you know I'm going to be okay. And then he whispers,
I don't, but you do.
I think that is one of the most honest lines in the entire book. It's both a lie and the deepest truth of their marriage at the same time.
He's admitting his own helplessness. I don't know if I'll be okay, while leaning on her faith in him. But you always knew I would be.
He's borrowing her confidence one last time. It's like he's saying, I can't promise I'll be fine, but I trust your judgment more than my own. If you think I can do it, I'll believe you.
Exactly. It's a transfer of belief.
Yeah.
And that permission is the key. It unlocks the door. She passes later that day.
Her storm ends. The silence falls.
And his storm begins.
And when that storm hits, that massive wave of grief he was so terrified of, he goes back to that I'm not special framework, but he takes it a step further.
He starts doing something that, most therapists would probably tell you to avoid.
He starts using comparative suffering.
Oh, absolutely. In the grief world, the golden rule is usually pain is pain. You don't compare. Everyone's pain is valid. But Daniel, he throws that out the window. He leans hard into comparison.
He practically creates a spreadsheet of suffering. He lists these specific scenarios, like sudden tragedy, people who lose a spouse in a car crash.
No goodbye, just a phone call and an empty bed.
And then the other end of the spectrum, long-term deterioration, Alzheimer's. Spouses who spend years caring for a partner who looks at them with blank eyes.
And his verdict, and this is the part that might sound shocking to some people, is, I got off easy.
It sounds almost offensive from the outside, doesn't it? He's sobbing in his backyard, missing the love of his life, but he's telling himself he won the lottery.
I got off easy. He justifies it, right?
Yeah.
He had time to say everything. She knew he was there holding her hand.
Her severe pain was limited to 7 months, not 10 years.
This is cognitive reframing in its most aggressive form. He is hunting for gratitude in the middle of the wreckage. See, if he focuses only on what he lost, he drowns. The loss is infinite.
But if he focuses on what he was spared,
the agony of a sudden disappearance or the slow erasure of dementia, he finds a foothold. It's like looking at a car crash and saying, well, the car is destroyed, but I still have my legs.
It doesn't fix the car. It doesn't bring her back.
No, but it gives him a reason to stop screaming. He's using the suffering of others, those historical billions, not to mock them, but to measure his own pain and realize, okay, this is survivable.
Others have endured worse and survived. I can endure this.
It's a tool for endurance. But the biggest shift, and I think this is the aha moment that changes everything, comes when he revisits that original wish.
The wish to die first.
This is where I'm not special transforms from a survival tactic into something, well, almost heroic.
He writes, "At one time, I was selfish enough to want to go first. But now I'm glad I didn't get what I wanted."
Glad. That is a stunning word to use in the context of widowhood. How can you be glad you're the one left behind?
So why is he glad? Why does he want to be the one standing in the storm?
Because he finally understands the logic of love. He realizes that grief in a marriage is a zero-sum game. One of you has to go through it. It's inescapable.
If you love someone until death, one of you will eventually be the survivor. So if he had died first, like you wanted.
Then Natalie would be the one standing in that backyard. Natalie would be the one talking to the sky. Natalie would be the one without her anchor.
He says, "I can't bear the thought of her enduring what I'm living through now without me."
That is the ultimate reframing. He stops seeing his grief as a punishment and starts seeing it as a shield.
By surviving her, he has protected her from this pain. He's taking the bullet so she doesn't have to.
That completely changes the texture of the suffering, doesn't it? It stops being meaningless pain and starts being, what would you call that? Protective grief?
Protective grief. I like that. It gives the pain a purpose. Every wave of sadness he feels is a wave she doesn't have to feel.
He's carrying the heavy load so she can rest. It turns his survival into a final act of service to her.
It's almost chivalrous. I will hurt so you don't have to.
And it circles all the way back to his fear. Remember, he was afraid to face life without her. But now he realizes that facing life without her is the price he pays to ensure she never had to face life without him.
Wow. So he accepted the storm because the alternative was her being in it alone.
Correct. And this connects back to I'm not special. He concludes that because he's a standard human, because history shows we are built to survive this storm, he can do it. And he must do it because doing it means he successfully protected her. To the very end.
It's a journey from I'm weak, I want to go first because I'm scared, to I'm strong enough to stay behind because I love you.
And that strength doesn't come from being a superhero. It comes from being an ordinary man who loves his wife and realizes that his pain is the receipt for her peace.
You know, when we started this, the title, I'm Not Special, sounded so self-defeating. But now, it sounds incredibly empowering.
It grounds you. It takes the ego out of grief. When you realize you aren't special, you realize you aren't alone, and you realize that your capacity to survive is literally built into your DNA.
We've gone from the depths of desperation to this really profound realization about love and sacrifice. It's wild how a shift in perspective can change the entire feeling of an experience.
It really is. We've seen how Daniel used logic, history, even that taboo comparison to build a raft that could float on that storm.
I think the takeaway for anyone listening, whether you're grieving or just supporting someone who is that not being special doesn't mean your loss doesn't matter.
Not at all. Your loss is unique to you because your love was unique, but the experience of loss is shared. You don't have to reinvent the wheel of survival.
You can look at the billions who came before you and say, if they did it, I can do it.
And maybe, just maybe, you can look at your grief not as a curse, but as the cost of saving the person you love from having to feel it themselves.
That's the thought that sticks with me. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a bit of a provocation, something to chew on.
Go for it.
We often think of the desire to die first in a relationship as the height of romance. You know, I can't live without you. But Daniel's journey suggests that might actually be a form of selfishness.
It's essentially saying, I want to tap out before the hard part starts. It challenges the definition of love, doesn't it?
It really does. If you truly love someone, should you want to be the one who stays behind? Does true love mean volunteering to take the storm so they don't have to?
Or is the ultimate act of love walking someone to the door, letting them through, and then turning back to face the empty room alone?
It's a difficult question. No one wants to be in that empty room. But I think Daniel Astoria gave us his answer.
I think you did too.
That's it for this deep dive into riding the waves of grief. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care, everyone.